Black Summer. John brought this in. He brought in the music, and for him, I think it was meant to be like a sort of a heavy ode to beautiful grunge, and what I heard was ode to Welsh folk music from the mountains of Wales, and you cross those two things and you get Black Summer. Check it out. Number 2 on the record, Unlimited Love, is a song called Here Ever After, which may or may not have been called Joy Example as a working title. This song, one of those trippy songs where everyone started playing their part, and I closed my eyes and I knew what my job was, and I love it when that happens. You could call it a still life of the dirtier side of Hollywood, life on the streets of Hollywood, California, maybe even life on the streets in the 1980s. Who knows? You tell me. Here Ever After. Next up is Aquatic Mouth Dance, kind of an ode to an older time. Somebody asked me what this song was about, and I said it's about the joy of struggle, the gift of not getting what you want, the freezing and being hungry and being denied, and all of the beauty that comes with these problematic and colorful life experiences. And it's about the dance of life. I mean, in a nutshell, this is Aquatic Mouth Dance. Love the horn! This next jam is called Not the One. This was a song that got turned inside out, upside down, torn apart, and put back together and became Not the One. I like this song. I hope you're feeling it. Song number 5 is called Poster Child. I didn't think this song was going to happen. Its genesis was a painfully funky bass line. Its working title was Faye, named after a funky woman in South Central Los Angeles who Flea had spent some time with. And I thought the bass line was dead in the water until one day, driving around in my car, I was listening to that bass line. I was like, wait a second, this is too good to let slip through the cracks. And I found a rhythm that kind of worked, and I played it for John. John says to me, "Oh, I think you're onto something with that, figure that out." And the song actually kept me up for weeks on end, lyrically. And when it was all said and done, I dare you to memorize these lyrics. Poster Child. Song number 6 on Unlimited Love is called The Great Apes. It's a dynamic jam. It's poetry in motion. And it's about human beings. If you're asking who these great apes are, it's you. It's me. Number 7. So here was also a song that nearly escaped its cage of rehearsal studio until one day Flea introduced me to a friend of his who had just gone through a painful breakup, and she inspired me to want to figure out the story, at least, for It's Only Natural. Also reminds me the tiniest bit of Cat Stevens, who I love so much. Number 9 is called, quite simply, These Are the Ways. Reminds me of classical music meets a rock and roll song. Thank you, John, for planting the seed of this song. It's so fun to play. These Are the Ways. Number 10 is what George Clinton might call uncut funk, because people don't want their funk cut, and it's called What You Thinkin'. You tell me what you thinking. I don't even know what to say about number 11. It's called Bastards of Light. Everybody hears this differently. To me, it's definitely a moment where I get to pour my heart out about some seemingly abstract human combat references, but you tell me what you think. Number 12, White Braids and Pillow Chair. This is one that Rick Rubin sang all day, every day after we had recorded it. It was his jam. White Braids and Pillow Chair. It's a true story in so much as I once saw the most beautiful older couple in a cafe, a coffee shop, if you will, Ventura County, probably like late 70s. This couple rolls into the cafe, and the dude was immaculate with his waist-long white braids, and his beautiful partner, who it looked like he had been through his entire life with, brought her own pillow to put upon the chair of this coffee shop, just so that her butt would be that much more comfortable. And they looked very comfortable together, and I fell in love with their love. I made a mental note, White Braids and Pillow Chair needs to be a song someday. It's pretty slinky. And it says hello to Lou Reed along the way. White Braids and Pillow Chair. Number 13. This might be the bounciest song on the record. It's called One Way Traffic, and the song is anti-gravitational. It floats, it bounces, it hadn't heard of gravity. It's funky, It tells a tale. If you listen closely, there's a tale. There's a tale of longing. There's a tale of everyday life. There's a tale of what are we doing here? What's really going on? We better have some fun just in case. One-way traffic. Number 14. Number 14 is called Veronica. It's a song that snuck onto the record. We were recording the record, Unlimited Love, and Flea and Chad were jamming between takes. So they were just keeping their fingers warmed up, keeping their thoughts flowing, and they improvised some chords in a song called Veronica, and I went and recorded it on my phone because I was touched, and I said, that's a song, that's a song, that's a song, and it became Veronica. Number 15 is called Let 'Em Cry. Crying is a good thing. Crying relieves stress and tension. It's not a diss. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being a human being, and it's good for your brain. So this is Let 'Em Cry. What up, Sly? Number 16, The Heavy Wing. Meant to be an oxymoron, at least as far as the title, because sometimes life is an oxymoron. The last song on the record really sounds like it should be the last song on the record. It's called Tangelo. It's an acoustic song in so much as the guitar is in fact an acoustic guitar. I believe that's the only one of its kind on this record, although we have been known. This is Tangelo. It's the last song on the record because it's the very last song.
You know, we started off, John Frusciante came back to the band. It was really exciting. You know, I can't speak for John, but I feel for him, it was like equal parts excitement and also like, whoa, how do I navigate this thing? I haven't been in for a long time. Like, does this still work? Does it still go on? And I don't know if he was thinking that or not, but early on, John came in and he goes, yeah, I got this idea for a song. And he's mentioned recently that he hadn't written a rock song in a long time. And it's a song that became Black Summer. One of the things I really love about Anthony's lyrics is that even though I know they're deeply personal to his experience in the world, they're also wide open to interpretation, like his metaphors, his sense of poetry, and the way that words sound when they're next to one another is really magical to me. But they're wide open, and everybody can apply them to their own experience, and I love that. Here Ever After started musically, once again with John. He just, had this melody and this movement, this chord movement, this melody that's really kind of just beautiful and simple. I just wanted to honor it and tried to find a rhythm that went counter to it in a way that worked really well. It just happened, and Anthony started singing this great melody and that went along with this really guitar melody, which is cool because there's this simple guitar melody that's really like profound, that goes through the verses, and Anthony sings this other rhythmic kind of hypnotic phrase that goes over it, and there was a lot of room for everyone to be themselves within this structure that John had created, and really awesome. This next song is called Aquatic Mouth Dance. I remember it being born as, oftentimes before we would work on things, and this is like very typical for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, is we just improvise and we jam and we go for it. Oftentimes I will initiate a jam, and on this particular case I did, and just picked up the bass and without thinking just started playing the bass line of what Aquatic Mouth Dance was. And everyone just fell in and started jamming, and we were improvising and jamming, and Anthony really liked it. I could tell he got real lively and jumped up on the mic and started spitting. When we were recording horns and I was writing horn arrangements for some of the songs, John had the idea for all of the horns to play at once, real freely on this track. And we just blew free and all soloed and went wild, and then we used it in different parts of the song. Get deep, get into the rhythm, get lost. I love this track, one of my favorites. This next song is called Not the One. We had started playing with John and started rehearsing and writing and gotten kind of deep into the rhythm of doing it. And then the pandemic hit. We stopped playing for a while together and just went home, and we're like, we're going to isolate and wait for this pandemic to pass. And we did that for a couple of months. And I was just home alone a lot during that time, writing stuff on a piano. And this is something that I wrote. You can kind of hear that 2-beat triplet piano groove going through it. Made a little demo of it by myself at home and then brought it into the guys. And John had some ideas to switch the chords up in the choruses, and Anthony started singing this beautiful melody over the whole thing. And I think at one point I suggested, because I feel so much yearning in him on this record, that we call the record The Yearning, but that was a shitty idea by me. Clearly, it's called Unlimited Love and not The Yearning, which sounds like the name of like either a Disney movie or some like bad horror movie that never even has a sequel made. Next song is called Poster Child, and it was kind of born of a funk groove that I had been playing on the bass. I had been spending a lot of time in South Los Angeles and Watts during the writing and making of this album. I got involved in that community, and there was one woman that I had met there named Faye. My wife and I were friends with her and kind of go hang out with her on her stoop and talk. Getting a feeling, from her and from being there, and came back to rehearsal one day after hanging out there, had this rhythm in my head that just kind of felt resonant to my experience there and started playing that. And then, it became Poster Child. Anthony, when I heard him just bust this great rap on it, going through this completely psychedelic world of words and storytelling, it really just thrilled me that Poster Child became what it became. I love this song, Poster Child. Next song called The Great Apes. I can remember on my behalf it kind of coming to be, I was sitting in my garage in Malibu and playing along with Gregory Isaacs, playing along with the song Night Nurse. And even though it sounds nothing like Gregory Isaacs, that's where it came from in my head. I'm grateful that it became a song, and I love the lyrics to it. I love thinking about, the great apes, and even though the song's not about apes, I love thinking about it. On this record, anthonykiedis, he just keeps getting better. He keeps growing and getting better, and what he does on this record all the way through, man, I think it's his finest work. He really focused in and got it done. Every song is a different feeling, a different narrative, a different aesthetic, a different vocal approach, and I'm so proud of him. She's a Lover. Another one started on the bass guitar, and just sitting on my couch, came up with it, trying to play some funky shit. I love Too Short, the rapper Too Short, and I love his version of The Ghetto. Donny Hathaway made it famous, that's for sure. And Too Short, I think it's on Short Dogs in the House record. He does a killerest version of The Ghetto. I was kind of playing something like a bass line that was, it doesn't sound like The Ghetto at all, but it was in that frame of that kind of chord movement and that hypnotic state that groove gets me into, and started playing it. And, once again, it's a series of bass lines that go together that formed the core of it. And then everybody else gets into it and it comes something completely different. And I'm just kind of like with the Great Apes or Poster Child, so grateful that these bass lines became a song. I love it. John's background vocals on this song kill me. I mean, I love Anthony's vocals too. He came with all these different sections, each one funkier than the next. And then when John came in on the background vocals with She's a Lover, rocks me. It rocks me. The whole thing just rocks. Beautiful song. This song is called These Are the Ways. And John just walked in one day with this song structure, and it's my favorite one. It's just rocks is all I can say. And the parts go together so well. I love it when someone does something that I would never think of in a million years. The way it builds and swells and climaxes and comes back down and builds and swells and climaxes again through this really beautiful, just gorgeous chord movement, and, evolving into this thing that's so bombastic. Anthony's vocals drive me crazy with how good they are. When he starts talking about the sound, the taste, the smell, it says so much without needing to go on to some diatribe or narrative or a billion words. It's just like, man, I feel you, I smell you, I taste you, I feel this. I love this song. These Are the Ways. One of my favorite songs the Red Hot Chili Peppers have ever done. Next song's called What You Thinkin'. Started with a bass line, then boom, 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 boom. Wanted to make like a really long cycle of a bass line, and it's a very long cycle and very specific. They just all came together, and Anthony, I love what he does. This one has a different kind of quirky whimsy to it that I'm glad that we have. I love all the songs on Unlimited Love. One of the things that I love about this record, and it makes me feel like it's our best work, is that every song really occupies its own place. It's completely different than all the other songs on the record. Each song has its own flavor, its own color, its own reason to exist. What You Thinking is definitely its own. Bastards of Light. Anthony has I can't speak for him, but he has a real deep relationship to mixed martial arts. He's like has an encyclopedic knowledge about this shit. It's not like this, like, rah, rah, beat ass, violent thing. It's like he really loves the science of it and how the different skills counter each other and how, guys develop these different skills with the fighting. It's a real love thing for him. And it's beautiful to see because I don't know that much about it, but I really feel his deep relationship to this thing. So John comes in with this, these beautiful, mysterious chords and movement and Anthony starts singing about fighting, Bastards of Light. It's fucking awesome. White Braids and Pillow Chair. I can start every song on this record by saying, I love this fucking song. John came in with this guitar riff. Dum, dum, bang, 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 bang. Boom, boom, blow, 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 blow. I started playing this rhythm against it, and Chad and I kind of chimed in together with that rhythm. And when I heard that Anthony was writing about, White Braids Pillow Chair, and I didn't know what the words were, I just imagined him dating some hot girl with white braids sitting on a pillow chair and him going oh man, look at that beautiful girl on that chair. And I just assumed that was foolishly assumed that was what it was about. And he was talking to me about it one day, and he told me that he had seen this couple in a cafe or somewhere, and it was an elderly couple. And I guess the woman had white braids, or maybe the guy had white braids. And this elderly couple he saw that were deeply in love, sitting in a place. And it's like, man, that's so beautiful. One-way traffic. Started with bass riffs. I kind of put the series of bass riffs together, brought them in for the guys, and fell together pretty quick. And then it was a while. I had no idea what Anthony was going to do on it. And he went off to Hawaii to do the vocals and came back, and he just tells us this really funny story over it. And I love it. It's so such a fun, celebratory, rockin' song. At the time when I came up with those riffs, I was listening to X, playing along with Nausea. And I know it sounds nothing like Nausea, but sometimes you just play along with something that gets you in a certain head, and I started playing with a pick and strumming chords like I was playing along with X, and came out with One-Way Traffic, and everyone else just took it to another level. Veronica's a song that was come up with very late. It was written in the studio. We were just kind of jamming in the studio, I think, on a riff that John probably played. Anthony really loved it. He started singing the melody for the verse, a melody that was really comfortable to him. And I've heard him sing that melody before, and I think he was always searching for a home for it. Or John started playing this beautiful guitar part, and he was like, I finally have a home for this riff. And he was very gung-ho about it. And then John came up with that chorus too, that with a tempo change and a time change, and it's shifting, and Anthony singing this great shit on it. And so it is. And Anthony singing about these different characters, starting with a girl called Veronica, from different walks of life in the world. And, I feel him, this yearning to build bridges between different people and different cultures. And I love that idea, and that makes me really happy because it's something I think about a lot. This next song, Let 'Em Cry, started with a verse with a bass line. Anthony sings that beautiful cry, cry, let 'em cry, that beautiful melody over it. And John came up with that part for a chorus on the spot. But we do this thing called a face-off sometimes, where we have a verse that we really like, and we'll be like, okay, we need a chorus or we need a bridge, and we'll say face-off, and then me and John will go into different rooms and both come up with something and come in and do whichever one the band thinks is better or more appropriate. And I think this was a face-off, and John came up with that chorus part. That's what happened. Anthony fucking rocked it. We got deep groove on it. This song, The Heavy Wing, John came in with all these musical parts, these instrumental parts. Epic thing. We just went for it. John is just such a studious, disciplined, focused man. John just came with all these parts, man, all these chord parts and riffs and stuff. We all did our thing. We did some good arrangement work on it with Rick before we tracked it, and it just comes out banging. It's great. I love it. I love the smell of a Tangelo. Kind of thing, you smell it and you're like, ooh, ah. You feel all your little insides vibrating. And so when Anthony told me that it was called Tangelo, I was very happy. But just beautiful. John, when he's such a ripper and shredder on a guitar and is sonically so exciting, sometimes one forgets that he will just get into an acoustic guitar and get going in the most beautiful way. And it's just the raw, simple sound of a beautiful guitar played by a man with great sensitivity. And he created this structure and came in, and, my younger daughter, Sunny Bebop, When I play her the record, this is her favorite song, and it's not even close. I play her another song, she goes, yeah, that's good, but let's hear Tangelo again. I think there's a lot of people who their favorite part of the Red Hot Chili Peppers is when we play quiet, pretty things. And so for those people who really enjoy that part of us, I'm excited for them to hear Tangelo. I really am.